all, can you please provide insights on the initial pitch for the series and the reactions it received?
Hi there. I could probably speak to the pitch. We pitched it to the BBC and said this is something that you've not had on your screens before. This is a perspective that has never been shown on British television. And if you don't have it on your screens, it's a travesty if you don't say yes. Fortunately, they listened. But yeah, we were very persistent with it. The web series was incredible, so we didn't have that much of a hard job to do. You put a Johnny in the room with anyone, they will fall in love with him. So we charmed and we did the work, and then the two married up together, and we got the series.
Okay, Nicola, you want to add to that?
Well, I was a part of the pitch.
Okay.
But in terms of the response and kind of following that has been incredible. The reception has been great. It is definitely a story that hasn't been, seen on screen or what we cover. And which is all completely relatable from, following your dreams to just the everyday live life as a creative and the microaggressions that we encounter along the way.
Okay, my next question is for Koby. Can you describe the shooting process for this series? Because each character, each action is important to advance the storyline. Can you give us a little detail about it?
I think the writing did a lot of work, which I really appreciate coming on any job. Do you know what I mean? Where the story's really been figured out, because story's king in what we do. Do you know what I mean? I think it's like knowing who the characters are, what their goals are, what their obstacles are, what the dilemma is. All of that stuff is already figured out. So then we just come on board and visualize that. You know what I mean? Like, we sort of work with the actors. We know what kind of ideas to give as far as goals in each scene goes, action verbs. Also allowing them to improv, because there's such a stable foundation. Do you get what I mean? Like, this is so solid now. We can do takes where you could just throw certain things in there. Let's make this nice and authentic, which highlights the brilliant casting, by the way. Do you know what I mean? From, the whole team. Like, Heather Baston leading that charge was just brilliant. The casting director just sort of like gave us these pool of actors who understand the role already. So like, we're really just having fun. Do you get what I mean? And as far as the camera work goes, it wasn't about flamboyant camera work that takes all the attention. I think the script does that, and I think the camera work has to serve that, if you know what I mean. And I think is that's something which I came in to do, which was just to serve the story. I'm a big storyteller. That's the thing about me. If you ever see a flipping camera like backflipping and doing all kinds of stuff, it means something, and it has to really be earned. So yeah, I think it was really, really interesting. And that's just me and the rest of the directors. It wasn't just me, but we were all aligned on really understanding what the message and the ethos and the depth of what this piece is, and applying our craft to it.
Okay. Did you face any challenges while shooting or trying to interpret the writing?
It was there's challenges on every shoot, my friend. You know what I mean? But this one was it was fun. Let's just put it that way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like getting my hands dirty and rolling my sleeves up anyway. Do you know what I mean? Who wants a smooth sailing ship? That's boring. Do you know what I mean? I think you get so much more out of finding solutions to problems, than you get so much more out of overcoming, sort of adversity, in the final product, if you know what I mean. So I think for me, the what, it was a challenging shoot, definitely. Do you know what I mean? But we made it work. Do you know what I mean? We stuck together. We're a great team. We had our ups and our downs, but that's what you should be able to have in safe spaces. This is exactly what it was. We just all feel very connected. We are all connected to the story. I think that's the beauty of this project. Everybody on it. Yeah, guess what? We've been through this. So what's the point of arguing? You know what I mean? Let's just get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your camera work, especially like there's a couple of, I won't mention too many of them, but you really have to pay attention. Like I'll bring up one scene where Queb's talking to his boss, and the pictures in the background, but pretty much every picture in the background means something. And I was just like, I hope Koby did that intentionally, because it really does interpret the situation.
Is that in reference to episode 1? If it is
episode one, yeah.
That was Sebastian Till, so that was a different director on episode 1. So he should get his flowers, because he shot that beauty. But you know what I mean? All of us had an eye on the whole script from 1 to 6 to make sure we pull out the necessary bits you know, to add the nuggets, etc.
Yeah, I think to echo that as well, like, you know, I'm glad that you noticed, you know, things in the background, is that everything about this show is intentional, from you know, the artwork and the background, to our costume design, you know, pendants, necklaces. There's some Easter eggs in there, whether you've picked up on them. I don't want to give too much away, but Jodie Simone, our costume designer, you know, even just slogans on shirts or on baseball caps in the show, everything, there is a message there that kind of gives away, you know, almost what is going to happen in the scene, or what our intention is anyway for that particular scene. So from down to, you know, from production design to costume, there are messages everywhere.
Okay, this is a question for all three of you guys. How do you believe humor can be a powerful tool for discussing complex social themes?
I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect. You know what I mean? That's when you get away with it, because you know you're just actually just having a laugh. Do you get what I mean? But then guess what? The funny part is the truth. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like when you finish laughing and then the dust settles, you're like, ah, you got me there. Do you know what I mean? I probably shouldn't have laughed, because it's like, is this the, you know, the way I come across? But even that's accountability as well. Like, how do we deal with these situations? Do you get what I mean? It's not just about pointing fingers. Do you know what I mean? This is an exploration of what to do in those situations. I mean, look, me personally, I brand myself as quite a bold person. So, you know, if I'm in half of those situations, I just walk off. Like, I don't, you know, I wouldn't dream of it. Like, the first bit would be what I'd actually do. But again, like, you know, it's just, you just sort of appreciate the situation. Do you know what I mean? Again, it's very universal. So you just, you know what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important where you know, you sort of balance between, you know, the comedy and the drama. And that was always, you know, I guess almost like a constant debate with the writers, Johnny and Ali, or whether myself was brought into the process, and even, you know, working with the directors as well, in terms of, okay, this is what we want to say, but how do we make it funny? Because at times in these matters, you can really lean into the drama, but we're commissioned to make a comedy here. So, you know, what is it that we need to do? So, you know, so there would be moments where, you know, where we would try to undercut serious moments or serious matters with, whether it's unrelated jokes to lighten up the scene, but without minimizing the issues at hand and what we're trying to discuss. And I think that's what this show, what Dreaming does brilliantly, in terms of balancing the serious matters. Have you watched the entire series, or?
Yes, I'll watch up to episode 6.
Okay, right. Yeah, there's only 6 episodes.
Oh, so there was,
I wish we had more. But you know, without giving too much away, obviously, you know, in episode 4, which is mainly about, you know, the couple, Maurice and Fumi, where, you know, we're touching on things of, you know, themes around fatherhood and Black maternity health care, which are quite universal, but is very serious. And, you know, we had our exec saying, okay, this is a very serious storyline and a very serious episode. Yeah. And then we had to sit and try to figure out, okay, well, the guys mainly, Johnny and Ali, figure out where can we put funny in here, you know, which is where the family comes in, and, you know, and other elements sort of really break the tension, as it were.
Yeah, you guys do a lot of that, and I can't see how you did it, but you accomplished it, and much kudos, which leads me to my next question. It's had success winning the BAFTA award and what have you. What do you think the audience over here in the US will react? How do you think they react to it?
I think they'll lap it up. I think it's a very original presentation, and I think, you know, when you keep it real, it's hard to deny. Do you get what I mean? Because it's kind of like, you know, this is true. You don't know why you know this is true, but this feels true, and I think that's what makes it. You know, that's what makes people consume the content, and you know, I think this would be one of those first sort of like very British offerings which does build that bridge, where it's like, hey guys, we actually go through the same thing. Do you know what I mean? So let's laugh, you know, together and figure out the solution together. And this is not us against each other. I mean, there's never been anyway, but still, it's just kind of like, you know, sometimes on social media you get US versus UK Twitter and all of these back and forths, but it's kind of like, that's because the projection hasn't been clear thus far as to who each other are. But I think Dream While Black is honestly one of the most crystal clear presentations of Black British culture you'll get to date. Do you get what I mean? So I'm really, and because obviously, don't get me wrong, there's Top Boy, you know, there's Chewing Gum, there's other presentations which have been, you know, sort of like authentic, but this one is very unapologetic. Do you know what I mean? And it is very much, I'm not mincing my words, this is the issue, but we're gonna laugh at it. Do you know what I mean? I think that will be consumed around the whole world, to be honest with you. I think that's probably why it's been sold in so many territories. Because
I think as well, I think with the beauty of Dream While Black and the characters, it's the everyday man. It's the everyday man and woman. It's just real people with the real life experiences that will travel, you know, with some other show, with the other shows, which are all great. You know, perhaps in some cases not so relatable to the everyday person who's got the 9 to 5 job, who has a mundane job, right? But I think with this show, it's just relatable. People will relate to especially people of color will relate to the microaggressions. They'll relate to workspace experiences as a minority, for example. Some people may even see the actions that some people may even relate to the microaggressions and be like, oh shit, I've done that. Oh, didn't realize that could be perceived in a certain way. So I think there's something there for everyone, but I think fundamentally it's about someone pursuing his dream. And whether that's Quabs, whether that's Amy navigating her passion and how she navigates in the workspace as well, I think there's something there for everyone. So we're excited for how it's going to be received over there. How did you receive
it? What was that?
I was going to say, I feel like there's also the successful Black woman, Vanessa, which I think is another masterstroke. It's not you know, some poor woman who's trying to eat a lobster and filet mignon and ordering champagne. Like, that's normal. Those girls exist, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of like having that scene showing their sort of flamboyance and their grandeur, I think was brilliant. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Because that is not just Black people that struggle. There's very successful Black women in other industries that have the money to spend at the high-end restaurants and buy the designer clothes and stuff. So I think, honestly, this is everything, you know, which I know is testament in America as well. So I think there's just everything in there. So many points of connection.
Yeah, I think it's really about being able to highlight and embrace our shared experiences, because I think sometimes, you know, when you're across the pond, you think that, you know, life in Britain is very different, but I think it's very relatable and it's shared experiences across the board.
Okay. Well, thank you. And by the way, that scene was what hooked me in for sure. The dinner scene. I had to take my blood pressure medication because I was I'm just joking, guys. Now I was laughing really hard though.
That's good.
Really appreciate it. It's going to be a success. I'll talk to you again. Hopefully we could do this again for season 2. And congratulations ahead of time, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
God bless, man. Nice to meet you.
You too as well.
Cheers, man.